Morning. Look what I got through the post. It's the book in its entirety. That's wonderful news. So this is, I think distilled's a bit strong, but this is experiences from working in the joinery, construction and timber trade and forestry over 30 years. So there's all sorts about growing trees and timber and conversion, and we've got photographs from the industry showing different methods of conversion. We're talking small scale conversion here, individual logs and what have you. And then there's the drying and kiln drying and secondary conversion, plus loads of bits of stories and bits of attitude and little tangents and side trips and all sorts of esoteria. So there you go. It's available at lowimpact.org, who are a non-profit making organisation. So you could go to their website and look under our publications, and so you can order it online. Or you could get your local bookshop to order it for you. I'm sure they'd be well pleased to do that. As Roger said in the East to West Coast video, buying power, he intimated this, that buying power is important. So if you're interested in your buying power, it's a matter of where you place it. So you place it in non-profit making or local or things like that, or small businesses, and you do more good than placing it with big global businesses who are not really interested in your local economy. So the book's done, and we've got various videos waiting in the wings, waiting for this to be finally completed. So we've got the rest of the Windows series, and we've got one video, right place, right time. It was an edge tree on a felling site, and they were making sure that it didn't fall out. So they wanted it to go into the wood. So all the brash was in the wood and there wasn't a huge mess to tidy up. So that was quite entertaining because they had a big Komatsu crawler on site. So we got that one, which is here actually. And just as a taster, that's your lot. You'll have to wait. So there's the book. I hope my subscribers will do me the honour of buying a copy. It will certainly help the channel, help fund more videos, and it will just be a general encouragement. Now then, on with the rest of the Windows video. Right, on to the mortising. And this is the mortiser that we repaired on the 3-phase to single-phase conversion. Now, here's the style. That's the bottom, that's the top. So the mortise is flush with that face. So let's pop it in there. Okay, and just lower this down and set it up. That's just not bad at all. That's better. Without going into too much detail, and I'll do a close-up of this, if you're not familiar with using a hollow mortise chisel, then look at the various videos on YouTube. There must be a gap between the auger and the chisel. I've seen one or two videos where the auger is screaming because it's pushed up against the chisel. Must be a gap of at least about a 1 mil, something like that. And it's down to the individual how much. And of course the chisel needs to be sharp. That's about it, I think. So what we'll do now that's the sight line, that's the setting forward line. As you remember, because the mortise and the tenon are in the rebate, we're working on the setting forward line. So let's just start it. What I'm planning to do is mortise from one side, about so deep, then flip it over and mortise from the other side. That way you get a really nice clean finish. And turn it round. Of course, when you set in the chisel up, because it must be dead square to the fence. So that was the thing that I'd forgotten to tell you. So what you do is you set the chisel up, then lower it and square and move the fence forward and square the whole thing up with the fence, and then nip it up. So let's that's the setting forward line. If you don't have a mortiser, there are other ways to cut the mortisers and the tenons, and we're going to cover those because, you know, this is a bit of a luxury. So here we are at the bench. I had to block the windows off a bit because of the light bleeding in. And where are we? This is the bottom rail. Now the way to cut an open mortise or a tenon by hand, well, one of the ways to do it is with a tenon saw. So what you need to do is we need to cut inside those lines, leaving half of the black line missing. Yeah, that's right, missing. So what we need to do is just make sure the lines are transferred round first, and the transfer across there. Should have a pencil somewhere, and just run the pencil in the grooves. Now we can't mark there, can't mark. So we'll just have to transfer the line, and I'll just zoom in a bit. So just using a ruler and squaring it with your finger, put the pencil in the right place, and then lock your finger onto the ruler, and then you can use it as a straight edge. There we go. So, into the vise, and you can use a tenon saw like that. But the first thing to do, of course, is when you cut down there, you still can't remove this piece here because it's still attached down there. So the first thing to do is drill a hole. And many people now would be reaching for the cordless drill or something like that, but we've got a brace and a bit. So we just need to set it on the centre line and drill away. Just be careful now. I'm just feeling for the point coming through. Because you don't want to rip out the other side. There's the point. Turn it around. Drill the other side. There we go. So that hole is at the end of the mortise, or the mortise to be. So into the vise at an angle. Now what we're going to do is going to cut down to there. We're not going to imagine that the other side will be in line, because most of the time it's not. So we're not even trusting it. So with the tenon saw, we cut along the line, on the inside of the line, like that. And then again, putting my thumbnail against the saw guides the start. In joinery and all those sorts of things, you've got to have thumbnails. So if you've got a habit of chewing them, that time you stopped, just so that you can do the joinery. And thumbnails, as you will see in another video, are absolutely essential for sharpening chisels and knives and stuff like that. Now then, we've turned it round, and this side should run against that shoulder or thereabouts. And then this side, thumbnail against the blade, nowhere near the teeth, but just holding it. Okay, and then let's put it around there. Continue the cut. Let's just tighten it up a little bit. There we go. So then the next thing is, all you do is break that out like that, and then you would pare down there with a really sharp chisel, a bit from this side and then a bit from that side, and that's the mortise done. And if you're going to do the tenon, then you would be sawing on the outside of the line and then cutting on those, and we're going to do that, a demonstration thereof, on the bandsaw. So here we go. This is a top rail, and we're ready to do the tenons. So I've got this piece of packer here, just so that you can hold the timber nice and square. So just make sure the band is tensioned correctly, and start her up, and we're cutting on the outside of the line. And that one, because that's where the sight line is, we've cut to the sight line, and now we're going to cut to this setting forward line, and as you can see, this is why it's quite important to mark it out correctly. We want to go onto the weight side of the line, so we want to leave the line there. And then we've got to flip it over, which is why it's important to put that line there. So there we go. And when we put them together, as you could see, they line up.